The final jump. On July 27, 2023 at Skydive Spaceland Houston in Texas, 36-year-old Justin Robert Fuller prepared for what was meant to be another routine jump. A veteran skydiver with years of experience, Justin was known for his calm focus before every flight, always double-checking his gear and flashing a reassuring smile before takeoff. That afternoon, under clear skies and rising heat, he boarded a small aircraft with a group of jumpers. Their plan was simple: climb to altitude, exit in sequence, deploy chutes, and land safely. But moments after Justin leapt from the plane, something went terribly wrong. His parachute lines became entangled with part of the aircraft's tail section, yanking him violently beneath the plane. Witnesses said it lasted only seconds, but to those watching, it felt far longer. When the tangled chute finally tore loose, Justin fell uncontrollably. His parachute twisted wildly before collapsing completely. He struck the ground in an open field beyond the landing zone. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but it was too late. Justin was pronounced dead at the scene. The FAA launched an investigation, and for days fellow jumpers left flowers and handwritten notes near the hangar where Justin had prepared for his final flight, the Alpine Wingsuit incident. On August 18, 2025, in Grindelwald, Switzerland, 56-year-old Kirk Hawkins, co-founder of Icon Aircraft and an experienced wingsuit flyer, prepared for what was meant to be another breathtaking flight over the Swiss Alps. Kirk, known for his lifelong love of flight, looked calm and focused as he suited up on the mountain ridge. He and his close friend hiked to the launch point overlooking the Eiger, one of the Alps' most iconic peaks. Their plan was simple: glide in wingsuits through a narrow mountain pass, then deploy their parachutes near the valley floor. It was a familiar route, one Kirk had flown many times before, but that morning the wind shifted. Seconds after he leapt, something went wrong. Witnesses said his trajectory looked slightly off, and in an instant his wingsuit clipped the ridge. The impact was brutal. Kirk struck the mountainside and vanished from view. His friend flying close behind could only watch helplessly as he vanished into the clouds below. Rescue crews arrived by helicopter within minutes, but it was too late. Kirk Hawkins had died instantly. His death sent shock waves through the aviation and adventure sports communities. To many, Kirk wasn't just an entrepreneur. He was a pioneer who lived for the freedom of flight. The mountains that once lifted him became the place where his final journey ended. The Midair collision incident on August 4, 2025 at the Lost Prairie Boogie Festival in Montana. Dozens of skydivers had gathered for the annual event, known for its daring formations, scenic views, and tight-knit community that celebrated life in the skies. Among them was a 37-year-old veteran skydiver with hundreds of successful jumps. That morning, he boarded the plane with a group of friends, smiling and relaxed as they prepared for another perfect day. The sky was clear, the air calm, ideal conditions for flight. But minutes after the group exited the aircraft, something went terribly wrong. Two experienced divers collided midair, their bodies slamming together with tremendous force, their parachutes tangled instantly. One of them fought to regain control, but his reserve never deployed. He spun helplessly as the ground rushed closer. Spectators below initially thought it was part of a stunt, but when one canopy failed to open, cheers turned to silence. Emergency crews rushed across the landing zone, but there was nothing they could do. The skydiver died instantly. The Lost Prairie Boogie community, which had already faced 3 fatal accidents in 15 years, was devastated once again. Organizers canceled the remaining jumps and held a moment of silence in his honor. The Alpine flight incident. On August 16, 2025, 24-year-old Liam Byrne stood at the edge of a cliff in the Swiss Alps, his wingsuit glinting in the morning sunlight. The young Irishman had become a rising star in the world of extreme sports, a wingsuit prodigy, as fans called him. Years of training had made him one of the best, mastering the dangerous art of flying close to the mountains, where even the smallest mistake could be fatal. That morning, Liam was preparing for one of his most ambitious jumps yet. He told friends he wanted to capture a video showing how beautiful freedom can look from the sky. Conditions were perfect: clear skies, steady air, and light winds sweeping through the valley below. Moments after takeoff, Liam soared through the crisp Alpine air at speeds over 200 kilometers per hour, gliding between sharp ridges and towering rock faces. But as he approached a narrow turn, something went wrong. His trajectory shifted slightly and his left wing brushed the mountainside. The contact sent Liam spinning out of control. Within seconds, he struck the rocks with tremendous force, the sound echoing through the valley. His friends watching from a nearby launch point knew instantly that something had gone terribly wrong. Rescue teams reached him quickly, but it was too late. Liam Byrne had died instantly. Tributes poured in for the young athlete who inspired so many. The mountains that once carried him had taken him home. The Russian parachute incident. On August 2nd, 2024, 38-year-old Andrey Begma prepared for what was meant to be a routine skydive over the Russian countryside. A seasoned jumper with hundreds of dives, he was known for sharing his skydiving videos online. That morning, he strapped on his GoPro, smiled into the camera, and joined his team aboard a small plane waiting on the runway. The sky was clear, and conditions were perfect for flight. As the aircraft climbed to altitude, Andrey chatted and adjusted his gear. At 13,000 feet, the door opened and he leapt into the open air, his body steady as he stabilized for the main chute deployment. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. At about 2,000 feet, his main parachute failed to open correctly. The cords twisted violently, forming a tight knot. His camera captured him, trying to untangle the lines, calm, but running out of time. He reached for his reserve, but the main canopy had wrapped too tightly, trapping it in place. Andrey spun uncontrollably as the ground rushed closer. Witnesses below could only watch in horror. Rescue teams found him in an open field, but it was too late. Andrey Begma had not survived the impact. In the days that followed, his final footage spread across the skydiving community. It was later used in a safety campaign, reminding jumpers to always double-check their gear. A tragic lesson from a man who loved the sky, the tandem jump incident. On July 15, 2017 in Wilton, New South Wales, a peaceful weekend skydive turned into heartbreak. It was a clear winter morning in Australia, and dozens of jumpers had gathered at the Sydney Skydivers drop zone to leap from 15,000 feet. Among them was a 35-year-old instructor and his 54-year-old tandem student, ready for what was meant to be a breathtaking first-time experience. The pair exited the aircraft as planned. Their parachute opened cleanly at first, drifting gracefully through the cold, still air. From the ground, everything looked normal, but moments later, strong, mid-level winds began to push them off course, a situation even the most skilled skydivers dread. Witnesses saw the pair struggling with the canopy control lines as they descended. Around 1,000 feet, the parachute suddenly folded inward and collapsed completely, sending them into a rapid spiral. Instructors on the ground shouted into radios, urging them to deploy the reserve chute, but there was no time. They struck the ground in a nearby paddock only a few hundred meters from the intended landing zone. Emergency crews reached them within minutes, but both were pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators later confirmed that turbulence and sudden downdrafts near the ground had caused the malfunction. Operations were suspended while safety procedures were reviewed. Their death shook the skydiving community across Australia. A somber reminder that even in expert hands, the sky can turn deadly in seconds. The military instructor incident. On July 10, 2023, a 36-year-old British military skydiving instructor boarded a small aircraft for what was meant to be a routine training jump over the English countryside. The skies were calm and the team had completed dozens of flawless dives before that day. Cameras were rolling to capture footage for training and documentation. At 11,000 feet, the instructor leapt from the plane. His body was steady in free fall. Every movement controlled the precision of years of experience. For a few moments, everything looked perfect. But when it came time to deploy his parachute, nothing happened. His main chute failed to open. He reached for his reserve, but it didn't deploy properly either. The camera on his helmet kept recording as he struggled, spinning faster with every passing second. His teammates in the air and on the ground realized what was happening, but there was nothing anyone could do. He hit the ground in an open field near Suffolk, dying instantly. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but the impact was too severe. Investigators from the British Parachute Association later confirmed a total equipment malfunction. Both the main and reserve chutes were tangled and unresponsive. The footage handed to authorities was never released publicly. Those who saw it described it as a haunting reminder of how quickly even the most skilled can face the impossible. If you'd like to see more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.